"Now you're mine," says the Mafia boss as he sees the waitress defending her one-legged mother. And what happens next will make you cry. The Sterling Diner sat on the corner of 5th and Madison like it had for 40 years. Worn linoleum floors, cracked vinyl booths, and the perpetual smell of burnt coffee and grease. It wasn't fancy, but it was honest work, and Emma Chen needed honest work more than she needed air. She wiped down table 7 for the 3rd time that hour, her white uniform already stained with ketchup from the lunch rush. 28 years old, student loans drowning her, and a mother whose medical bills made those loans look like pocket change. But Emma didn't complain. Complaining was a luxury she couldn't afford. "Emma!" The shout came from the kitchen. Frank Martinez, the day manager, a short, round man whose shirt buttons strained against his belly with every breath. "Table 3 needs water." "On it!" She grabbed the pitcher, grateful for the distraction from her thoughts. The diner was half full. Regulars mostly. Old Mr. Chen, who wasn't related but insisted everyone call him Uncle. The construction workers from the site 2 blocks down. A few tourists who'd wandered off the main strip looking for authentic New York. And then there was the man in booth 9. Emma had noticed him the moment he walked in 20 minutes ago. Hard not to. He wore a black suit that probably cost more than her entire year's rent, perfectly tailored to broad shoulders and a frame that screamed danger despite the expensive fabric. His hair was dark, swept back with precision, and a neat beard framed a jaw that could cut glass. But it was his eyes that made her pause. Dark, calculating, seeing everything while revealing nothing. He hadn't ordered. Just sat there, a cup of untouched coffee growing cold in front of him, his attention fixed on a smartphone that probably cost more than her car. Emma had seen his type before. Rich guy slumming it, looking for atmosphere to post on social media. She'd stopped being impressed by expensive suits years ago. The bell above the door chimed. Emma turned, pitcher still in hand, and her entire world tilted. Her mother stood in the doorway, one hand gripping her walker, the other clutching her worn purse like a lifeline. Sarah Chen was 98 years old, barely 5 feet tall, and missing her left leg below the knee from diabetes complications 5 years ago. But her eyes were still sharp, still defiant, still the same eyes that had worked 3 jobs to put Emma through school. "Mom?" Emma set down the pitcher, already moving toward her. "What are you doing here? I told you to rest at home today." "I wanted coffee with my daughter." Sarah's voice was thin but firm, that stubborn tone Emma knew too well. "Is that a crime?" Before Emma could respond, Frank appeared from behind the counter, his face already red. No, not today, Emma." "I told you. Frank, she just wants coffee." "She stinks." Frank's voice rose, loud enough that conversations stopped, heads turned. "I've gotten complaints. She sits here for hours, orders 1 coffee, and drives away paying customers with that smell." Emma's face burned. She does! Look at her!" Frank gestured wildly, his belly shaking. "Old, dirty, probably hasn't bathed in weeks. This is a respectable establishment." "She bathes every day." Emma's voice was ice now, the kind of cold that came from years of swallowing pride. "She has limited mobility. Sometimes it's hard for her to—" "I don't care about her sob story." Frank stepped closer, his breath heavy with onions. "She needs to leave. Now. Before she costs me more business." Sarah's hand trembled on her walker. Emma saw the shame in her mother's eyes, the humiliation, and something inside her snapped. No. The word came out harder than Emma intended. Frank blinked, surprise crossing his face. "What did you say to me?" "I said no." Emma stood taller, her hand finding her mother's shoulder. "She's a paying customer. She has every right to be here. And if you have a problem with that, you can take it up with corporate." Frank's face went from red to purple. "You're fired." "Frank, get out. Both of you. Now." The diner had gone silent. Emma could feel every eye on them. Her mother was shaking now, tears beginning to form, and Emma's heart cracked seeing her proud, strong mother reduced to this. It's okay, baby, Sarah whispered. Let's just go. No. Emma's voice was louder now. We're not going anywhere. This is discrimination, Frank. Against a disabled, elderly woman. I wonder what the health department would say about those expired ingredients I saw in the back last week. Frank's eyes bulged. You little... Enough. The word cut through the tension like a knife. Deep, commanding, with an edge that made everyone in the diner freeze. The man from booth 9 stood. He was taller than Emma had realized, at least 6'2", and the way he moved, fluid, predatory, like violence wrapped in expensive fabric. He walked toward them, his shoes clicking against the worn floor, and Emma noticed something she'd missed before. Everyone was staring at him, not with curiosity, with fear. The construction workers had gone rigid. Mr. Chen was looking at his plate like it was the most interesting thing in the world. Even Frank had gone pale, his bluster evaporating like steam. "Gentlemen," the stranger said, his voice carrying that same quiet command. "Ladies, continue your meals. This doesn't concern you." And just like that, conversations resumed. Forks scraped plates. Someone coughed. The diner returned to normal like a switch had been flipped. But Emma noticed the fear never left their eyes. The stranger turned his attention to Frank, and Emma watched the manager actually take a step back. "This woman," the stranger gestured to Sarah without looking at her, his eyes locked on Frank. "What exactly is the problem with her presence?" The smell..." Frank was stammering now, his earlier confidence gone. "I don't smell anything." The stranger's voice dropped lower. "Do you?" No, sir. The other customers seem fine to me." The stranger finally looked at Sarah, and Emma saw something flicker in those dark eyes. Recognition? Sadness? It was gone before she could identify it. "In fact, I think this establishment could use more customers like her, people with dignity, class, unlike some of the management." Frank was sweating now. "Sir, I didn't mean... I'm not finished." The stranger's tone could freeze hell. "You're going to apologize to this woman. Then you're going to bring her the best cup of coffee this diner can make, along with whatever else she wants. On the house. And you're going to do it with a smile. And you?" The stranger turned to Emma, and for the first time his expression softened. Just slightly. Just enough. "You're going to keep your job, with a raise, 15%, starting immediately. Managerial approval is implicit in my statement." Emma blinked. "I don't understand." "You don't need to." His eyes held hers, and Emma felt something electric pass between them. Something dangerous and thrilling and absolutely terrifying. "You defended someone who couldn't defend themselves. That takes courage. I respect courage." "Who are you?" The question came out before Emma could stop it. A ghost of a smile touched his lips. "Someone who just became a regular at this diner." He looked at Frank, who was still frozen in place. "Isn't that right, Frank?" Yes, sir. Absolutely, sir." "Good." The stranger pulled out his wallet, extracting several bills without counting them. He handed them to Frank. "For the ladies' meals. All of them. For the next year." Frank's eyes widened at the amount. Emma caught a glimpse. They were hundreds. Lots of them. "That won't be necessary," Emma started, but the stranger raised a hand. "It's already done." He turned back to her, and Emma saw it again. That intensity, like he was looking through her, seeing parts of her she didn't show anyone. "What's your name?" "Emma. Emma Chen. Emma." He said it like he was tasting the word. "I'm Dante," Frank whispered, the name coming out like a prayer and a curse. "Dante Russo." Emma saw the stranger, Dante, tense slightly, but he didn't deny it. And suddenly, Emma understood the fear in everyone's eyes. She understood why the diner had gone silent. Why Frank was practically trembling. Dante Russo. She'd heard the name. Everyone in New York had heard the name. The man who controlled everything that happened in the shadows. The name whispered in back alleys and boardrooms alike. The man you didn't cross unless you wanted to disappear. The Mafia boss. I should go, Emma heard herself say, her hand tightening on her mother's shoulder. You should stay. Dante's voice was softer now, almost gentle. Finish your shift. Take care of your mother. Live your life. He paused. But Emma? She looked at him, unable to look away. Now you're mine. The words hung in the air between them. Not a threat, not quite a promise. Something else. Something that made Emma's breath catch and her heart race in a way that had nothing to do with fear. Dante walked back to his booth, sat down, and returned his attention to his phone as if nothing had happened. Frank scrambled to the kitchen, probably to change his pants. The other diners slowly relaxed, the tension bleeding out of the room. Emma stood there, her mother leaning on her walker, and felt her entire world shift on its axis. Baby, Sarah whispered, her eyes wide. Do you know who that man is? Yes, Emma breathed. I think I do. And? Emma looked at Dante, at the dangerous, powerful man who'd just defended her mother without being asked, who'd looked at her like she was something precious and terrifying at the same time. I don't know, Mom. She helped Sarah to a booth, her hands shaking. I really don't know. But as she brought her mother coffee, the good stuff Frank had sent out from the back, Emma caught Dante watching her, and when their eyes met, he smiled. It was the most dangerous smile Emma had ever seen. And somehow, she smiled back. Emma didn't sleep that night. She lay in her tiny studio apartment, staring at the water stain on the ceiling that vaguely resembled Florida, and replayed the scene at the diner over and over. Dante Russo, the Dante Russo, had just claimed her. Now you're mine. What did that even mean? Her phone buzzed on the nightstand. 3:47 a.m. A text from an unknown number. How's your mother? D. Emma sat up so fast she knocked over the glass of water beside her bed. How did he get her number? She hadn't given it to him. Had never even spoken to him again after that moment. She'd finished her shift in a daze, helped her mother home, and tried to convince herself it had all been some strange dream. But the 15% raise Frank had grudgingly confirmed was real. The thick envelope of cash he'd handed her for Mrs. Chen's meals was real. And this text message was very, very real. She should delete it. Block the number. Pretend none of this happened. Her fingers moved without permission. She's fine. Resting. Thank you for earlier. 3 dots appeared immediately. He'd been waiting for her response. You don't need to thank me. I didn't do it for thanks. Emma's heart hammered. She typed and deleted 3 different responses before settling on, why did you do it? The reply took longer this time. Because someone needed to. And because you were brave enough to stand up first. I respect that. Sleep well, Emma Chen. No more messages came. Emma stared at her phone for another hour before exhaustion finally pulled her under. The next 3 days passed in a strange new normal. Emma worked her shifts at the diner. Brought her mother by for coffee every afternoon, watching Frank trip over himself to be accommodating. Tried not to think about dark eyes and dangerous smiles. Tried and failed. Dante didn't come back to the diner, but his presence lingered like expensive cologne, invisible but impossible to ignore, the way Frank jumped at shadows. The way the construction workers spoke in whispers when they thought she wasn't listening. The way Mr. Chen had pulled her aside and said, Be careful, little one. That man's protection is a blessing and a curse. On the 4th day, Emma finished her shift at 6 p.m. and walked out to find a car waiting. Not just any car. A midnight blue Mercedes, gleaming under the streetlights, with tinted windows and the kind of presence that screamed money and power. A man in a black suit stood beside it. Not Dante. Someone older, with silver hair and a face that had seen things Emma couldn't imagine. Miss Chen, he said, his voice professionally neutral. Mr. Russo requests your presence. Emma's stomach dropped. I'm sorry, what? It's not a summons. The man's expression softened slightly. More of an invitation. Dinner. He'd like to explain himself properly. You can decline, of course. And if I decline? Then I drive away and you never hear from us again. He paused. But Mr. Russo asked me to tell you that he'd consider it a personal favor if you accepted. Emma knew what a personal favor from Dante Russo meant. She'd heard the stories. The restaurant owner who'd refused him service, only to have every health inspection go wrong for months. The businessman who'd crossed him, whose company mysteriously collapsed overnight. These weren't coincidences. They were warnings. But there was something else in the driver's eyes. Not threat. Almost like concern? One dinner, Emma heard herself say. Public place. The driver smiled. Of course, Mr. Russo already made reservations at Marcello's. Very public. Very safe. Excellent tiramisu. Despite everything, Emma almost laughed. Let me change. Take your time. I'll wait. 20 minutes later, Emma emerged in the only dress she owned that wasn't her uniform, a simple black number she'd bought for her college graduation. The driver opened the car door without comment, and Emma slid into luxury she'd only seen in movies. The drive took 15 minutes through streets that grew progressively more expensive. Marcello's was in the kind of neighborhood where Emma would normally feel like an imposter, where the people walking their dogs wore jewelry worth more than her yearly salary. The driver opened her door. Mr. Russo is waiting inside, table in the back. Just tell the maitre d' your name. Emma took a breath and walked in. The restaurant was everything she'd feared. Crystal chandeliers, actual oil paintings on the walls, waiters in tuxedos gliding between tables like wraiths. The maitre d' took one look at her and somehow knew exactly who she was here to see. Miss Chen, this way, please. He led her through the main dining room, past couples whispering over wine, past a family celebrating something with champagne, to a private alcove in the back where the lighting was lower and the atmosphere more intimate. Dante stood when she approached. He wore another perfectly tailored suit, charcoal this time, with a dark blue shirt that brought out something in his eyes. He'd shaved since their first meeting, the beard shorter, neater. He looked like a CEO, like a movie star, like someone who definitely didn't belong in her world. But when he smiled at her, it reached his eyes. Emma, thank you for coming. Did I have a choice? She didn't mean for it to come out so sharp, but fear made her defensive. Dante's smile faded slightly. Always, please, sit. She did, and a waiter appeared immediately with water and bread and a menu Emma was afraid to look at because she couldn't pronounce half the words. Order anything you want, Dante said. The veal is excellent. So is the seafood risotto, though if you're not comfortable, we can go somewhere else. Why am I here? Emma interrupted, her hands clasped tight in her lap. Really here, not the dinner invitation story. Dante leaned back, studying her. Direct. I like that. Most people dance around what they want to say to me. Most people are probably afraid you'll kill them. The words hung in the air. Emma's heart stopped. Had she really just said that? But Dante laughed. Actually laughed. A deep, genuine sound that made heads turn in the main dining room. You have no idea how refreshing that is. He sobered, his expression growing more serious. But you're not entirely wrong. Most people are afraid of me. They should be. I'm not a good man, Emma. I've done things that would make you run screaming if you knew half of them. Then why do I feel safer around you than I do around my own manager? The question surprised them both. Dante's eyes widened slightly, and Emma felt her cheeks heat. I didn't mean... Yes, you did. Dante leaned forward. And I felt it too. That day at the diner. You stood up to your manager knowing you'd lose your job. You defended your mother knowing it would cost you. That takes more courage than 90% of the men who work for me. I just did what anyone would do. No. Dante's voice went soft. You did what almost no one would do. You saw someone vulnerable and you protected them. No calculation. No asking what's in it for me. Just pure instinctive protection. He paused, something flickering across his face. My mother was like that. Emma blinked. Was? She died when I was 15. Dante's voice was carefully neutral, but Emma heard the pain underneath. Cancer. Fast and brutal. She worked 3 jobs trying to pay for treatment, died anyway, leaving me and my father with nothing but debt and grief. I'm sorry. Don't be. She wouldn't want pity. Dante smiled, but it was sad now. She'd want me to tell you that you reminded me of her. That day. The fierce protection. The refusal to back down. The way you held your ground. Emma felt tears prick her eyes. My mom's all I have left too. I know. I looked into you. Emma stiffened. You what? I needed to know who you were. It's not personal. It's survival. Everyone who gets close to me becomes a target. Dante's expression hardened. I have enemies, Emma. People who would hurt you just to hurt me. I needed to know if you were strong enough to handle that. And you are. Stronger than you know. He paused. But I also found out about your student loans. Your mother's medical bills. The 3 jobs you worked before the diner. The scholarship you lost when your mom got sick and you had to drop out to care for her. Emma's face burned. You had no right. I had every right. Dante's voice went hard. Because now you're under my protection, whether you want it or not, and I protect what's mine. There it was again. That possessive claim that should terrify her but somehow didn't. I never agreed to be yours, Emma said quietly. I know. Dante's eyes held hers. But you are anyway. The moment I saw you defend your mother, you became mine. Not my property, never that. But mine to protect. Mine to care for. Mine to... He stopped himself, jaw tight. Mine to what? Emma whispered. Dante looked away, and for the first time since she'd met him, she saw uncertainty in his face. Mine to destroy my life for, apparently. The waiter arrived before Emma could respond, and they ordered. Dante remembering she hadn't looked at the menu and ordering for both of them with a gentle, "Trust me?" And somehow she did. The meal passed in a strange blur. They talked about everything and nothing. Her mother's stories from immigrating to America at 25. His father's work at the docks before the debt took him. Her dreams of finishing school someday. His complete lack of dreams beyond surviving the next power play. They didn't talk about what he did for a living. They didn't need to. But as dessert arrived, tiramisu as promised, Dante's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and Emma saw his entire demeanor change. The warmth bled away, replaced by cold calculation. I have to take this, I'm sorry, it's business, I understand. Dante stood, and Emma watched him walk to a quiet corner, phone pressed to his ear. She couldn't hear the words, but she saw the tension in his shoulders. Saw the way his free hand clenched into a fist. When he returned, the man who'd laughed at dinner was gone. The Mafia boss was back. I need to go. Something's come up. His voice was clipped, professional. My driver will take you home. Is everything okay? Dante looked at her, and Emma saw something in his eyes that made her chest tight. No, but it will be. He reached out, hesitated, then gently tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. The gesture was so tender, so at odds with the danger radiating from him, that Emma's breath caught. Stay away from the diner for a few days. Actually, stay home. Don't answer the door unless you know who it is. Fear spiked through her. Why? What's happening? Someone made a move against my family. They targeted one of my businesses. His jaw clenched. They're going to regret it. But for a few days, anyone associated with me is at risk. That includes you now. I never asked for this. I know. I'm sorry. And he actually looked it. But I meant what I said, Emma. You're mine to protect. And I always protect what's mine. He left before she could argue. The driver appeared moments later, his expression grim, and drove Emma home in silence. She lay awake that night, watching the news, watching reports of a warehouse fire on the south side. 3 casualties, identities withheld, possible gang violence, the reporter said, and Emma knew with sick certainty that Dante had been there. Had made someone pay. Had done things that would haunt her if she let herself think about them. Her phone buzzed. 2:13 a.m. You're safe. Everything's handled. Sleep now. D. Emma stared at the message. She should be horrified. Should run. Should block his number and pretend none of this ever happened. Instead, she typed, "Thank you," and meant it. The reply came immediately. Always. Emma closed her eyes, and against all logic, all reason, all self-preservation, she fell asleep feeling safer than she had in years, because the most dangerous man in New York had claimed her as his, and somehow that felt like coming home. 5 days passed without word from Dante. Emma tried to convince herself she was relieved, tried to focus on her shifts at the diner, on her mother's physical therapy appointments, on the mundane reality of her life before a man in a black suit had turned everything upside down. It didn't work. She found herself checking her phone compulsively, jumping at every text notification, scanning the diner for dark hair and dangerous eyes that never appeared. "You're distracted," her mother said on the 6th day, sipping her coffee. The good kind, now, always the good kind, at their usual booth. "Is it that man?" Emma didn't need to ask which man. "I don't know what you're talking about." Sarah Chen might be 98 and missing a leg, but her eyes were sharp as ever. "Don't lie to your mother. I see how you look at your phone, how you watch the door." "Mom." "He's dangerous, baby. Everyone knows what Dante Russo is, what he does. He defended you when no one else would." "I know." Sarah's voice softened. "And I'm grateful, but gratitude and love are different things." "Who said anything about love?" Emma's voice came out too sharp, too defensive. Sarah just smiled. "A mother knows." Before Emma could argue, the diner door opened, but it wasn't Dante. It was 3 men in expensive suits, the kind of suits that looked wrong in a place like the Sterling Diner. They looked around, spotted Emma, and smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. Frank, who'd been wiping down the counter, froze. Emma saw him go pale, saw his hand shake as he set down his rag. The other customers noticed too. Conversations died, forks stopped moving, and that familiar tension Emma recognized from Dante's first visit filled the room. But this time, it felt different. Predatory. The lead man, tall, blonde, with a scar running from his temple to his jaw, approached their booth. "Emma Chen?" Emma's hand found her mother's under the table. "Yes?" "You need to come with us." "I don't think so." The man's smile widened, showing too many teeth. "It wasn't a request. Mr. DeLuca would like a word." DeLuca. Emma didn't recognize the name, but she knew it meant trouble. Anyone who sent 3 armed men, she could see the bulges under their jackets, to collect someone meant serious trouble. "My daughter's not going anywhere with you." Sarah's voice was stronger than her frail body, the same steel that had kept them alive through years of struggle. The blonde man glanced at Sarah, and Emma saw the dismissal in his eyes. "Old woman, this doesn't—" "Leave." The word came from the diner's entrance, and Emma's heart stopped. Dante stood in the doorway, and he looked like death in a tailored suit. His expression was carved from ice, his eyes flat and dark and absolutely terrifying. Behind him stood 4 men, not in suits, but in tactical gear that screamed security, each one radiating controlled violence. The atmosphere in the diner shifted instantly. The predatory tension became survival tension. Emma saw the blonde man's hand twitch toward his jacket, saw his companions tense. "Move that hand another inch," Dante said conversationally, "and I'll have Marcus remove it at the wrist." One of Dante's men, Marcus apparently, a mountain of muscle with dead eyes, smiled. It was not a nice smile. The blonde man's hand stopped moving. "We're just following orders," he said, but his voice had lost its confidence. "Mr. DeLuca wants to talk to the girl?" "Mr. DeLuca can go to hell." Dante walked forward, his men spreading out behind him in practiced formation. Emma Chen is under my protection. That means she's off limits. You know this. DeLuca knows this. So why are you here? The blonde man licked his lips. Boss said, your boss is sending a message. I understand. Dante stopped in front of Emma's booth, positioning himself between her and the men. Emma could see the tension in his shoulders, the coiled violence ready to explode. Here's my message back. Touch her, and I burn DeLuca's entire operation to the ground. Every business, every safe house, every last dollar he's hidden away. And then I'll find him. He's not afraid of you, Russo. He should be. Dante's voice dropped to something inhuman. Because I've already located his daughter. Cute girl, 22. Apartment in Soho. Walks her dog every morning at 7. Coffee at the shop on Spring Street. Very predictable routine. Emma saw the blonde man go pale. You wouldn't... I would never hurt an innocent. Dante's voice was steel. But DeLuca doesn't know that. And when he hears I know where his precious Angelina is, that I had eyes on her this morning, that I could have made her disappear at any moment, he'll understand. You don't threaten what's mine. The silence in the diner was suffocating. Emma couldn't breathe, couldn't move. She'd never seen anyone wield fear like a weapon the way Dante was doing now. Leave, Dante said again, before I change my mind about letting you walk out of here. The 3 men left, fast, like the building was on fire. Dante didn't relax. He turned to Emma, and the ice in his expression cracked slightly. Are you hurt? No, we're fine. Emma's voice shook despite her best efforts. What was that about? Exactly what it looked like. Someone's testing my boundaries. Dante's jaw clenched. I'm sorry. I should have anticipated this. What do you mean? Dante glanced at his men who had taken up positions by the doors and windows, then slid into the booth across from Emma and Sarah. Up close, Emma could see the exhaustion in his face, the shadows under his eyes. I've been dealing with a situation. Antonio DeLuca has been making moves on my territory for months. Small things at first. Then bigger. The warehouse fire 5 days ago was him. He killed 3 of my men trying to make a point. And now he's coming after me? Not exactly. Dante's expression turned grim. He's using you to distract me, to divide my attention. He knows I'll protect you, and he's hoping that protection will stretch me thin enough that he can make a real move. Sarah made a small sound. So, my daughter's in danger because of you. Dante flinched like she'd slapped him. Yes. The simple honesty of it hung in the air. No excuses, no justifications, just truth. So what happens now? Emma asked. Now I keep you safe. You and your mother both. Dante pulled out his phone. I have a property uptown, fully secured. My men will move you both there today. Absolutely not. Emma's voice was sharp. I'm not running. I'm not hiding. And I'm sure as hell not letting you uproot our entire lives because some man wants to send you a message. Emma. No. She leaned forward. You said I was brave for defending my mother, that I had courage. So trust that courage now. I'm not going anywhere. Dante stared at her, something warring in his expression. Fear, admiration, frustration. You could die. We're all going to die eventually. Emma's voice was steady now. I won't spend whatever time I have left locked in a gilded cage. Even if that cage keeps you alive? Even then. Sarah's hand found Emma's. My daughter is stubborn, like her mother. Despite everything, Dante smiled. Small, sad. I noticed. He was quiet for a long moment, then sighed. Okay, you stay. But I'm assigning protection, 24/7, my best men, and you don't go anywhere without clearing it with them first. That's still a cage. It's a compromise. Dante's eyes locked on hers. Please, Emma, I can't... He stopped himself, jaw tight. I can't lose you. Not because of my choices. Not like this. Emma saw it then. The truth underneath all the danger and power and cold calculation. He was scared, genuinely, deeply scared. Not of DeLuca or violence or death, but of failing to protect her. Okay, she heard herself say. Security detail, but I keep working. Keep living my life. Deal. Dante looked at Marcus. Round-the-clock rotation, 3 men minimum, and I want surveillance on every approach to this diner and her apartment. Already done, boss. Marcus's voice was surprisingly soft. Set it up while you were talking. Dante nodded, then turned back to Emma. Can I talk to you? Alone? Sarah's hand squeezed Emma's once, then released. I'll be at the counter. Take your time. She hobbled away, and Emma slid to the inside of the booth. Dante moved to sit beside her, close enough that she could feel the heat of him, smell his cologne. Something expensive and dark. I need to tell you something, Dante said quietly. About why DeLuca targeted you specifically. I assumed it was random. Wrong place, wrong time. No. Dante's hand found hers, and Emma's breath caught at the contact. Emma, I've been watching you since before that day I walked in here. Emma stiffened. Watching me? Not in a creepy way. I mean, Dante ran his free hand through his hair, a gesture so human it was jarring. 3 weeks before I came here, I was driving past. Saw you through the window helping an old man who'd fallen. You didn't just help him up, you sat with him, made sure he was okay, refused to leave until his daughter arrived. I watched the whole thing. Why? Because in my world, no one does things like that. No one helps strangers. No one cares. His voice was raw now. I came back the next day, and the day after that, just to watch you work, to see if it was real or just a performance. And you were real, every time. Patient with difficult customers, kind to your coworkers. You covered shifts when people called in sick. You slipped extra food to the homeless guy who hangs out back. He laughed, bitter. You made me remember what good people look like. Emma's heart was pounding. So you've been stalking me. Yes, I'm sorry. I know how it sounds. Dante's thumb traced circles on her hand, the gesture unconscious and intimate. But then I saw what happened with your mother, and I couldn't just watch anymore. I had to step in. Had to protect you, and the moment I did, everyone in my world noticed. Including DeLuca. Dante's expression darkened. He has people everywhere. Eyes and ears. He heard about you within hours. Knew you were important to me before I fully realized it myself. Emma should pull her hand away, should be horrified by all of this. But instead, she found herself leaning closer. Why am I important to you? Dante looked at her, and Emma saw everything in his eyes. Fear, longing, desperation, hope. Because you're good. Genuinely, impossibly good. And I'm not. I'm so far from good that most days I don't recognize myself in the mirror. But when I'm near you, I remember what it felt like to want to be better. Dante, I know I have no right to feel this way. I know I should let you go, keep you safe by staying away. But I can't. His free hand came up to cup her face, gentle despite the violence she knew those hands were capable of. I tried. For 5 days, I tried to stay away. Tried to convince myself you'd be safer if I just disappeared from your life. But I can't do it, Emma. I can't let you go. Emma's breath was shallow now, her heart racing for entirely different reasons. This is insane. I know. You're dangerous. I know. I should run. You should. Dante's thumb traced her cheekbone. But you won't. Because you feel it too. He was right. God help her, he was right. This pull between them, this impossible connection that defied logic and self-preservation. Emma had felt it from the first moment he'd stood up for her mother. Had felt it grow with every text, every conversation, every second they spent in each other's presence. What are we doing? Emma whispered. Something stupid. Dante leaned closer, his forehead nearly touching hers. Something dangerous. Something that could get us both killed. Then why does it feel right? I don't know. His voice was barely audible. But it does. They stayed like that for a moment, suspended in possibility, in the space between decision and action. Emma could feel Dante's breath on her lips, could see the war in his eyes. Then he kissed her. It was gentle at first, almost hesitant, like he was afraid she'd shatter if he pressed too hard. But Emma had been holding herself together through sheer stubbornness for years, and she wasn't fragile. She kissed him back, her hand finding his jacket, pulling him closer. Dante made a sound, half relief, half desperation, and deepened the kiss. His hand slid into her hair, cradling her head, and Emma felt everything else fall away. The diner, the danger, the impossibility of this. All that existed was this moment, this feeling, this man who was so wrong for her it circled back to feeling right. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Dante pressed his forehead to hers. "I'm going to keep you safe," he said. "Whatever it takes, however long it takes, I swear it." "I believe you," Emma breathed. And she did. Against all reason, against all logic, she trusted this dangerous man with her life and her heart. Sarah cleared her throat loudly from the counter. "Take your time, kids. But maybe not in the middle of the diner?" Emma pulled back, face burning, and saw half the customers pretending not to stare at them. Even Dante's security team was carefully looking anywhere else. Dante laughed, that genuine, surprised laugh Emma was starting to love, and stood, pulling her up with him. "Your mother's right. Come on. Where are we going?" "Somewhere private." He paused, his expression turning serious. "I need to tell you everything. About my life, my business, the danger you're in, all of it. You deserve to know what you're walking into. And if I don't like what I hear?" Dante's smile was sad. "Then I'll let you go. I'll keep you protected from a distance. But I'll let you go." He paused. "Though I really hope you don't ask me to." Emma looked at her mother, who nodded. Looked at Marcus and the other guards who watched with professional neutrality. Looked at Dante, at this man who terrified and fascinated her in equal measure. "Okay," she said. "Tell me everything." Dante's hand found hers, his fingers lacing through hers like they belonged there. "Thank you," he said quietly, "for giving me a chance, for not running." "Don't thank me yet," Emma said. "I haven't heard the everything part." "Fair point." Dante gestured to Marcus. "Get them home safe. I'll follow in my car." As Marcus escorted Sarah to a waiting vehicle and Dante's other men formed a protective cordon around Emma, she felt the weight of her decision settling over her. This was it. The moment where her life diverged from normal into something else entirely. The moment where she chose the Mafia boss over safety. And as Dante's hand tightened on hers, as they walked out of the diner into the evening light surrounded by armed guards and danger she couldn't quite define, Emma realized something terrifying. She wouldn't change her choice even if she could. Whatever came next, danger, darkness, impossible love, she was choosing it. She was choosing him. And somehow, that felt like the bravest thing she'd ever done. The call came at 3 a.m. Dante was in his office reviewing shipment manifests when his phone lit up with a number he didn't recognize. His instinct screamed trap, but something made him answer. "Russo." The voice was smooth, amused. "Antonio DeLuca. I have something of yours." Dante's blood turned to ice. "If you've hurt her, relax. She's perfectly fine, for now." Background noise filtered through, muffled sounds, movement. Then Emma's voice, distant but clear. "Don't come. It's a trap." Cut off abruptly. Dante's hand clenched so hard around the phone he heard plastic crack. "Where is she?" "The old Castellano warehouse, South Docks. You know the one, where your father used to work before he couldn't pay his debts." DeLuca's voice turned cold. "Come alone, Russo. No army, no backup, just you. Or I start sending pieces of her back to you." The line went dead. For 5 seconds, Dante sat frozen. Then he exploded into motion. "Marcus! Get everyone in here now." His security team assembled in minutes. 12 men, all veterans, all loyal. Marcus laid out a map of the docks, marking exits and approaches. "It's a trap," Marcus said flatly. "He wants you exposed." "I know." Dante's voice was eerily calm, the kind of calm that preceded violence. "But he has Emma. So we spring the trap. Boss, I'm going in alone, like he asked." Dante cut off the protests with a look. "But you'll be positioned at every exit. The moment I have her clear, you move, not before. I won't risk her life because we jumped early." He checked his gun, loaded, chambered, safety off, and slid it into his shoulder holster. Added 2 knives, one at his ankle, one at his back. Not because he planned to use them, because going unarmed to face DeLuca was suicide. "If I don't walk out," Dante said quietly, "protect her anyway. Get her somewhere safe. Set her up with a new identity. Whatever it takes." "You'll walk out," Marcus said. Dante didn't answer. He wasn't sure anymore. The drive to the docks took 20 minutes. Dante spent them thinking about Emma's face when she'd kissed him, the way she'd looked at him like he was worth saving, the way she'd chosen him despite knowing what he was. He'd gotten her into this. He would get her out, even if it cost him everything. The warehouse loomed ahead, a skeleton of rusted metal and broken windows. Dante parked 50 yards out and walked the rest, hands visible, gun still holstered, showing he was playing by DeLuca's rules. The main door stood open. Dante stepped through into darkness broken by a single floodlight in the center of the space. Emma sat tied to a chair beneath it, her white uniform torn, face bruised but eyes fierce. 3 men stood around her, the blonde from the diner plus 2 others. And behind them, Antonio DeLuca himself. He was older than Dante expected, late 50s, with silver hair and a face that might have been handsome before cruelty carved permanent lines into it. He smiled when Dante entered. "The mighty Dante Russo, alone and unarmed, just like I asked." "I'm here." Dante's eyes never left Emma. "Let her go." "Why would I do that?" "She's the only leverage I have." DeLuca circled the chair like a shark. "You know, I've been studying you, Russo, trying to figure out your weakness. Money? No. Power? You have plenty. Fear? You don't seem to feel it." He touched Emma's shoulder and Dante tensed. "But love? That's interesting. That's exploitable." "You've made your point." "Name your price." "My price?" DeLuca laughed. "I don't want your money, Russo. I want your empire, everything you've built, every territory, every operation, every connection. I want it all." "Fine, it's yours." The words came out flat, absolute. "Release her and I'll sign over everything, tonight." DeLuca blinked, surprise breaking through his confident mask. "Just like that?" "Just like that." Dante took a step forward. "I'll even throw in my offshore accounts, my properties, my legitimate businesses, every last asset. But Emma walks out of here now, untouched, and this ends." "You'd give up everything for her?" DeLuca's voice held genuine curiosity. "A woman you've known for weeks? A nobody waitress?" "She's not nobody." Dante's voice went soft, dangerous. "She's everything. And yes, I'd give it all up, because unlike you, DeLuca, I finally understand what actually matters." DeLuca stared at him, and Dante saw the wheels turning. Saw him calculating, weighing, trying to decide if this was a trick. Then DeLuca smiled. "No." Dante's heart stopped. "What?" "I said no. You don't get to just walk away, Russo. You don't get your happy ending." DeLuca's voice turned vicious. "You killed my son, 2 years ago, the warehouse raid on 10th Street. You gave the order that put bullets in his chest." Ice flooded Dante's veins. He remembered that raid. Remembered the intelligence that said it was a drug operation. Nothing more. Remembered. He was 19. DeLuca continued, his voice breaking slightly. "Stupid kid trying to prove himself to his old man. And you murdered him." "I didn't know. You didn't care." DeLuca's composure shattered. "You never asked. You just pulled the trigger on anyone in your way. Well, now you'll know how it feels. Now you'll lose someone you love." He pulled a gun, pointing it at Emma. Time slowed. Dante saw Emma's eyes widen, saw her mouth open to scream, saw his entire world about to end. But Emma was already moving. The chair tipped backward. She'd been working the ropes, loosening them, waiting for the right moment. She hit the ground rolling, the floodlight crashing down, plunging everything into chaos. Dante heard shots, heard shouting, heard DeLuca cursing. Then Emma's voice, strong and clear. "Dante! Your ankle!" He understood instantly. Dropped, pulled the knife from his boot, threw it blind toward where he'd last seen the blonde man. Heard a scream, a thud. Lights blazed on, Marcus and his team breaching through every entrance. The fight was over in seconds. DeLuca's men on the ground, disarmed. DeLuca himself held at gunpoint by 3 of Dante's people. And Emma, standing in the center of it all, rope burns on her wrists but eyes blazing with triumph. Dante reached her in 3 strides, pulling her against him, his hands shaking as he checked for injuries. "Are you hurt? Did they—" "I'm fine. Pissed off, but fine." Emma's arms wrapped around him. "I heard everything you said, about giving it all up for me. I meant it." Dante pulled back just enough to see her face. "Every word. I'll walk away from everything, Emma. Right now. Tonight. Just say the word. You'd do that? Give up your empire? Your power?" "In a heartbeat." Dante cupped her face. "You asked me once why you were important to me. This is why. Because before you, I was just surviving. Just accumulating power to feel less empty. But you? You make me want to actually live." Emma kissed him, hard and desperate and real. When they broke apart, she was crying. "Then do it," she whispered. "Walk away. Choose me. Choose us." Dante looked at DeLuca, who was watching with hatred and something else, broken understanding. "I'm sorry about your son. Truly. I can't change what happened, but I can change what happens next." He turned to Marcus. "Call the council. Emergency meeting. Tonight." He looked back at Emma. "I'm renouncing my position. Effective immediately. Someone else can run the organization. Someone else can play these games. I'm done." "Boss," Marcus started, "they won't let you—" "They don't have a choice." Dante's voice was steel. "I built this empire. I can dismantle it. Or they can accept my resignation and let me walk away with the woman I love." Emma's breath caught at those words. Love. He'd said it, out loud, in front of everyone. "I love you," Dante said again, just to her this time. "I know it's fast. I know it's crazy. But I do. And I'm choosing you over everything else." "I love you too," Emma breathed. "God help me, I do." They stood there, surrounded by armed men and danger and the wreckage of Dante's old life, and kissed like it was the first and last time. Like they were the only 2 people in the world. Behind them, DeLuca laughed bitterly. "You think love conquers all, Russo? You think they'll just let you walk away?" Dante pulled back from Emma, his expression hardening. "They'll let me walk away. Or they'll find out what happens when they threaten the only thing I have left to protect." He was wrong about that, but he wouldn't find out how wrong until morning. The council met at dawn in a penthouse Dante owned but rarely used. 12 men, all heads of the families that made up the organization Dante had ruled for 7 years. They sat around a mahogany table worth more than most people's houses, drinking espresso, and waited. Dante arrived with Emma at his side. He'd offered to have her wait in another room, somewhere safe, but she'd refused. "We're in this together now," she'd said. So together they walked into the lion's den. The council looked at her with curiosity and calculation. Emma felt their eyes assessing, measuring, trying to find her weakness. Dante took his seat at the head of the table. Emma stood behind him, her hand on his shoulder. "Gentlemen," Dante began, his voice calm, "I'm sure you've heard about last night. About DeLuca's attempt to leverage Emma against me." "We heard," said Giovanni Marconi, the oldest council member. "We also heard you offered to give him everything, your entire empire. For a woman." "I did." Silence. Heavy. Judging. Then you're weak, said another voice. Carlo Benedetti. Ambitious and ruthless. Compromised. Unfit to lead. I agree, Dante said simply. Which is why I'm stepping down. Effective today. You can elect a new leader. I'll transition everything over the next month, then I'm gone. The silence was deafening. Then all 12 men started talking at once, voices rising, overlapping. You can't just... There's no precedent. No one leaves the organization. Enough! Giovanni's voice cut through the chaos. He looked at Dante with something that might have been sadness. You know the rules, boy. No one walks away. Not ever. The only way out is death or betrayal. And betrayal means death anyway. Then change the rules. We can't. Giovanni spread his hands. The organization exists because of structure, loyalty, fear. The moment we let someone walk away, we show weakness. Every rival will smell blood in the water. Dante's jaw clenched. So what are you saying? We're saying you stay, Carlo said flatly. Or you die. Those are your options. Emma's hand tightened on Dante's shoulder. She felt him tense, felt the violence coiling in him, ready to explode. But instead, he laughed. You're threatening me? In my own building? With my security outside? Dante leaned back, his expression almost amused. Bold. Stupid, but bold. We're not threatening. Giovanni's voice was soft. We're stating reality. You built something too big to walk away from, Dante. You know too much. Control too much. Letting you leave would be like cutting our own throats. Then I have a counteroffer. Dante pulled a slim folder from his jacket, slid it across the table. Inside are the locations of safety deposit boxes in 7 countries. Each one contains evidence, financial records, witness statements, photographs. Everything needed to bring down this entire organization. The men around the table went pale. Carlo grabbed the folder, rifling through it, his face twisting with rage. You collected evidence against us? Against your own people? Insurance, Dante said calmly. In case someone tried to stop me from leaving. Those documents are currently held by 3 different law firms, all with instructions to deliver them to the FBI if I don't check in weekly. So here's how this works. You let me walk away, clean and clear, and those documents stay locked up forever. You try to kill me or Emma, and every secret this organization has gets exposed. You're bluffing, Carlo snarled. Try me. Dante's voice went cold. I spent 2 years building that insurance policy, 2 years preparing for this moment. You think I didn't plan for your objections? Your threats? I'm offering you a clean exit. Take it, or we all burn together. Giovanni studied him for a long moment, then sighed. You've changed, boy. That girl. He nodded at Emma. She's made you soft, or maybe human. I'm not sure which is worse. She's made me remember what matters. Dante stood, pulling Emma to his side. I'm done living in the shadows, done making decisions that haunt me. I'm choosing a different life, and you're going to let me. Or, Carlo challenged, or I don't just burn the organization. I burn you specifically, Carlo. Want to know what's in your box? Dante's smile was razor sharp. Photos of you meeting with federal prosecutors, trying to cut a deal to take over by selling out the rest of us. That'll be interesting when it goes public. Carlo went white as a sheet. The other council members turned to stare at him, suspicion and fury blooming in their expressions. That's a lie, Carlo started, but his voice shook. It's not, and you know it. Dante looked around the table. I have dirt on all of you. Not because I wanted to blackmail you, but because in this life, trust is suicide. So decide now. Let me walk away with Emma and my freedom, or watch everything collapse. Your choice. The silence stretched out. Emma could barely breathe. She'd never seen anything like this. Dante dismantling his entire world with words and preparation and sheer force of will. Finally, Giovanni spoke. You'll need a successor. Someone to take over your territories. I nominate Giovanni, Dante said immediately. He's smart enough to hold things together and old enough not to let ambition destroy him. Giovanni raised an eyebrow. You'd trust me with your empire? You're the only one I would trust with it. Dante's voice softened. You knew my father. Helped my mother when she was dying. You've always had honor, Giovanni. That's rare in our world. The old man's eyes glistened. Your father would be proud of you, boy. And furious. Probably both at once. I can live with that. Dante looked at Emma, and his expression transformed, all the hardness melting away. I can live with a lot of things, as long as I have her. Then go. Giovanni stood, extending his hand. You have my word. As long as those documents stay locked away, you're free. Both of you. Dante shook his hand, then looked at the rest of the council. One by one, they nodded. Even Carlo, though his expression promised murder if he ever got the chance. Then we're done here. Dante took Emma's hand. Thank you. For understanding. For letting me choose something different. They walked to the door. Emma's heart was pounding so hard she thought it might explode. They were almost there. Almost free. Russo. Giovanni's voice stopped them at the threshold. That girl of yours, she's stronger than she looks. Hold on to her. I plan to, Dante said. Forever if she'll have me. Emma squeezed his hand. Forever sounds perfect. They left the penthouse, walked past Dante's security team, and stepped into the elevator. As the doors closed, Emma finally allowed herself to believe it. They were free. They were actually free. Did you really collect evidence on all of them? She asked. Every single one. Dante pulled her close. I told you. I protect what's mine. That includes my future with you. Our future, Emma corrected. Our future, Dante agreed, and kissed her. The elevator descended, carrying them away from his old life and toward something new. Something better. Something worth every sacrifice he'd made. When they reached the ground floor, sunlight streamed through the lobby windows. Emma looked up at Dante and saw him smile. Genuinely, freely, like a weight had been lifted from his shoulders. So what now? She asked. Now? Dante tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. Now we figure out what normal people do. Together. You think we can be normal? Probably not. Dante laughed. But we can try. And failing at normal with you sounds better than succeeding at anything else without you. Emma stood on her toes and kissed him. Right there in the lobby. Not caring who saw. I love you, Dante Russo. I love you, Emma Chen. He rested his forehead against hers. Thank you. For seeing past what I was to what I could be. For choosing me anyway. Always, Emma whispered. And she meant it. 6 months later, Emma Chen married a man named Daniel Ross in a small ceremony in Portland, Oregon. 20 people attended. Her mother, a handful of friends Emma had made working at the local bookstore, and Marcus, who'd followed them west to make sure his former boss stayed safe. Daniel Ross looked like Dante Russo, same eyes, same presence. But he smiled more, laughed easier, slept without nightmares most nights. They lived in a modest house with a garden Emma was learning to maintain, despite killing more plants than she saved. Daniel worked as a consultant for small businesses. His organizational skills and strategic mind translated well to legitimate work. Emma had started taking online classes again, working toward the degree she'd abandoned years ago. It was normal, quiet, everything they'd hoped for. Most days, Emma forgot about the world they'd left behind. Most days. Mrs. Ross? The man at their door was young, maybe 25, with nervous energy and a manila envelope. I have a delivery for you. Signature required. Emma signed, took the envelope, closed the door. Her hands shook slightly as she opened it. Inside was a single photograph. Dante, Daniel, standing outside their house, taken from across the street. Recent. Maybe yesterday. And a note in elegant script. Congratulations on your marriage. May your happiness be long-lived. A friend in New York. Emma's blood turned cold. Someone knew where they were. Someone from the old life had found them. Daniel! Her voice was sharper than intended. He appeared from the kitchen, dish towel in hand, and saw her expression. What's wrong? She handed him the photo. Watched his face transform from concern to cold calculation to barely controlled fury. Marcus! Dante! Daniel! She needed to remember Daniel now, called out. Marcus appeared from the guest room where he'd been staying, took one look at the photo, and cursed. I'll run security footage. Find out who delivered it. Giovanni, Daniel said quietly, staring at the note. This is his handwriting, his style. Is it a threat? Emma asked, hating how her voice shook. No. Daniel set down the photo, his expression softening as he pulled her close. It's a reminder that he knows where we are, that he could reach us if he wanted to. But the message says, friend. He's telling us he's keeping his word, as long as we keep ours. So we're still not free. We're as free as we'll ever be. Daniel tilted her chin up, met her eyes. Emma, there's no such thing as completely free from that life. Not really. The best we can do is live well enough that the chains don't matter. But they'll always be there. Always watching. Always. Emma felt tears building, frustration and fear mixing. Hey, look at me. Daniel waited until she did. Today you married me. Your mother was there, healthy and happy. You're going back to school. I make honest money doing honest work. We have a home. We have each other. That's more freedom than most people in my old life ever get. Is it enough? Ask me again in 50 years, Daniel said softly. When we're old and gray and still waking up next to each other. When our biggest concern is what to make for dinner or what show to watch. When the worst thing that happens is I forget to take out the trash. Despite everything, Emma smiled. You already forget to take out the trash. And you'll still love me anyway. I will. Emma pressed her face into his chest, feeling his heartbeat steady and strong. I do. They stood like that for a long moment, holding each other, choosing each other again like they had every day since leaving New York. Marcus cleared his throat. For what it's worth, the delivery guy was just a courier service. No connection to anything. Giovanni wanted us to know he found us, but didn't want to spook us. He's being respectful. Then we accept the message and move on. Daniel kissed the top of Emma's head. We have a wedding reception to get to. People waiting. A life to live. You're right. Emma pulled back, wiping her eyes. I'm not going to let ghosts from your past ruin our future. Our past? Daniel corrected gently. We're in this together, remember? For better or worse. You just promised. I did, didn't I? Emma smiled, and this time it reached her eyes. Guess you're stuck with me, Mr. Ross. Wouldn't have it any other way, Mrs. Ross. They left for the reception hand in hand. Marcus followed at a discreet distance, always watching, always ready. Emma realized that would be their reality forever. Never fully separated from danger, but far enough removed that it didn't control them. The reception was perfect. Her mother danced, actually danced, with her prosthetic leg and a walker nearby but unused for those few beautiful moments. Friends toasted them. They cut cake and laughed and celebrated a future they'd fought so hard to claim. As the sun set and Emma slow danced with her husband in the fading light, she felt truly happy. Not free from fear entirely, not completely safe, but happy in a way that mattered more than safety ever could. What are you thinking? Daniel murmured against her hair. That I'd do it all again, Emma said. Every dangerous moment, every impossible choice. If it meant ending up right here, even with Giovanni's photo reminding us we can never fully escape? Even then, Emma pulled back to look at him. Because you were right that first day in the diner. I am yours. Not as property, not as possession, but as choice. Every single day, I choose you. And I choose you. Daniel's eyes held that same intensity from 6 months ago, but warmer now, softer. The most dangerous mafia boss in New York couldn't scare you away. A photograph from an old friend definitely won't. Exactly. Emma kissed him, deep and long and full of promise. So what do we do now? Now? Daniel spun her under his arm, making her laugh. Now we live. We love. We build something beautiful on the ashes of my old life. And when our kids ask what their father used to do before he met their mother, we tell them you were in management, Emma finished, grinning. Exactly. Very high-level management. They danced until the stars came out, until the last guest left, until it was just the two of them and Marcus discreetly checking the perimeter. And when they finally went inside their modest house with the half-dead garden, Emma felt something she'd never expected to feel with a former mafia boss. Peace. Not perfect peace. Not unmarred by the past or uncertainty about the future. But real peace, hard-won and precious and theirs. And as Daniel, formerly Dante Russo, the man who'd once controlled an empire through fear and force, carried her over the threshold of their home, Emma knew they'd made the right choice. Love hadn't conquered all. It hadn't erased danger or eliminated threats or magically fixed everything, but it had given them something worth fighting for, worth sacrificing for, worth building a new life for. And in the end, that was enough. More than enough. It was everything.